3 messages before today's interview educates and motivates you. First, if you're a domain name investor, don't you have unique legal needs that require domain name technical know-how and industry experience? That's why you need David Westlow of Wiley Rein. Go search for David Westlow on Domain Sherpa, watch his interview, and you can see for yourself that he can clearly explain issues, can help you with buy-sell agreements, deal with website content issues and UDRP actions, and even help you write your website terms and conditions. David Westlow is the lawyer to call for internet legal issues. See for yourself at newmediaip.com. Second, managing multiple domain name marketplace and auction site accounts is a pain. Inevitably, you forget to sign into one and you lose a great domain, or worse. Now imagine using a single, simple to use and comprehensive control panel to manage all of your accounts. That's Protrata. You can set up search filters, analyze domains, automate bidding, list domain names for sale, buy domains across all major marketplaces. Protrata also has a new semantic engine that builds Google-friendly websites with rich content and network feeds. Sign up at protrata.com to get 20 free credits and start building and monetizing your domains today. Finally, if you have questions about domain names, where should you go to ask them? The answer is dnforum.com. Not only is DN Forum the largest domain name forum in the world, it's the best. You can learn about domain names and the industry, buy and sell domain names, talk about the domain name news that's happening in the industry, and even meet domainers just like yourself. Register for a free DN Forum account and begin advancing your skills and knowledge today. And when you do sign up, send me a friend request so we can connect on DN Forum. Here's your program. Hey everyone, my name is Michael Seiger and I'm the publisher of DomainSherpa.com, the website where you come to learn how to become a successful domain name investor directly from the experts themselves. Anyone who follows Rick Schwartz's blog knows that once you get Rick riled up about something, he doesn't calm down quickly. And most of his online attention recently has been turned on one Marcio Melo Chavez, a man who owns SaveMe.com.br, who recently filed a UDRP alleging that Rick Schwartz was cyber squatting or had taken the domain name that is rightfully owned by him and his trademark SaveMe.com.br. Joining us to discuss the intricacies of this legal issue and help us understand UDRP cases and reverse domain name hijacking better is Howard Neu, an internet domain name attorney, co-founder of the Traffic Conference coming up this October, and partner of Rick Schwartz. Howard, welcome to the show.
Hi, Mike, and welcome everybody to Domain Sherpa. I know that you've got some great viewers and readers that come in every day looking for some information, and you've always been able to provide it. So I'm very pleased that you've asked me to be here. I need to make 2 corrections on what you just said.
Please.
One is that Mario Melo Chavez did not own the domain. He was the attorney for the owners. And the other is that they do not have a trademark. There is no trademark either in Brazil or otherwise. They have applied for one, but they don't have one. So I just want those changes.
All right, very good clarifications. Thank you for that, Howard. When I went to do my research pre-interview, the website at saveme.com.br has no information about ownership, and when I went to the parent company, it actually has no information as well. So I appreciate that clarification. Clearly, not a lot of information is easily accessible by the company that filed this UDRP case.
Well, the funny thing is that we've heard from people in Brazil concerning the company that owns that domain that apparently they own some other websites where they have, in fact, cheated people and have not provided the services or goods that they had promised to provide. So apparently there's a litany of history with this particular domain owner or BR owner.
All right, so today we're going to focus on the UDRP case, and I like to start with the end result. They filed an UDRP case. You represented Rick Schwartz as his attorney. What happened in the case of SaveMe.com, which is a domain name that was owned by Rick Schwartz?
Okay, the owner of SaveMe.com is properties.com, which which is Rick's company, one of his companies, alter egos, if we may. And the end result was that a three-person panel voted not only to deny the claim, but did very strong wording for reverse domain hijacking.
So they actually labeled this UDRP case as a reverse domain name hijacking case. All
Absolutely.
Right. And we're going to go into exactly what that means for the company and the attorney that filed this case. But let's take a step back briefly, Howard. What is a UDRP case?
Well, a UDRP, it's interesting you should ask, because there are some misconceptions, but a UDRP case is generally a case filed by a trademark holder. Doesn't have to be necessarily a registered trademark, but a trademark holder who claims that a domain name is in fact treading on their trademark and is causing confusion. Generally, it's a claim for cyber squatting, but in essence, they're saying that it's being misused in order to confuse the user and to go to somebody else's website.
Okay, so it was a legal what's the word I'm looking for? A clarification to the domain name system that allows people who own trademarks, whether it's actually registered or not, to then get a domain name taken away from another person who might be using it in a confusingly similar fashion to the company that owns that trademark, or whether registered or not.
Well, that's partially correct. It's also is also determined whether or not the domain name was registered and being used in bad faith. The UDRP, Uniform Domain Name Dispute Resolution, was put together by ICANN in order to provide for an arbitration process to make it easier for trademark holders to obtain the domain name utilizing their trademark without having to go to court and spending a lot of money and time. Of course, the downside from a complainant standpoint is that all they can do is get the domain name. They cannot get damages, they cannot get attorney's fees, and so on. On the reverse side, and I'm sure you're going to get to it shortly, is if there's a finding of reverse domain name hijacking, there's no penalty for doing that, at least not a monetary penalty.
Yeah, Rick has his own form of penalty, but we'll go into that. Okay, so I understand what a UDRP case is. It's so I can get a domain name that somebody else might have if it's on my trademark, and there's a few different parameters that have to be fulfilled in order for a panel to decide for the complainant. But does a trademark, so it's for trademark holders, and I know that you can have, and I appreciate interviewing an attorney, Howard, and I like the fact that you correct everything that I say to make sure that it's legally correct. Like Rick doesn't own the domain name, Rick owns a company that owns the domain name, and I appreciate that because I think a lot of watchers and readers want to know the details of how things are formed. So if people put domain names into a company that's a legal entity that they personally are protected, and and things like that. So keep doing that, please. But back to the trademark case. So it's a clause for trademark owners. Does somebody have to have a registered trademark with the United States Patent and Trademark Office or another country's Patent and Trademark Office, or is it enough to have a common law trademark to use the UDRP process?
Not in and of itself. You can, as a common law trademark holder, you can in fact bring a UDRP action. However, in order to be able to prevail, I'm talking on behalf of the other side, really, but in order to be able to prevail, you would have to show that there is a secondary meaning, that it's a famous mark, even though it hasn't been registered, that substantial monies have been spent on developing the mark, albeit a common law mark, Let's say, for instance, that Coca-Cola had no registered trademark, but everybody knows that, if you want a Coke, it's a Coca-Cola. If you want a tissue, it's a Kleenex. Where these are type of things. Huge amounts of money have been spent to develop a trademark, even though it's not registered. And if that's the case, then a common law trademark, in fact, can prevail in a UDRP action.
Okay, but the hurdle for the complainant is much higher if it's a common law trademark not registered with, say, the USPTO than if it were registered.
That's correct.
Okay, I understand that. And clearly, we're not going to go into the details of how much higher that hurdle is during this show. People, if they're thinking about investing down that route, thinking about going to a domain name attorney like yourself or like David Westlow, who sponsors our show, or any of the other great attorneys that I'm sure you'll bring up during the show today. So if I want to file, if I own a trademark, registered trademark with the USPTO, and somebody else has a domain name that's infringing on my trademark, Howard, I've seen in 2 cases that I can go to WIPO or to another organization, National Arbitration Forum, to file a UDRP case. Is there more than one place that a UDRP case can be filed?
Insofar as the .coms are concerned, those are the 2 jurisdictions. There are other jurisdictions, but for country codes, CIRA has, CIRA has one for Canada. There's a Czech board, Czechoslovakian board. But generally, WIPO or NAF are the areas that you go for UDRP.
I understand. It's by the country then, and each country may have their own organizations that are created to administer the UDRP.
Maybe I misspoke. Maybe I misspoke. Most country codes, if not all, country codes are enforceable under the UDRP. And are enforceable at WIPO or NAF. Generally, non-U.S. cases are filed at WIPO, but they have been filed at NAF as well. Each, and just as a kind of a plug for my blog, newsnews.com, every 6 months I publish a list at WIPO and the top 10 panelists at NAF who have denied complaints on behalf of domain holder respondents more than the others. And so I make that list available every 6 months, and we consistently update it. So there is a resource that you can go to.